Good morning, everyone. We're going to be talking about the immune system, which is pretty much just how your body fights off germs. This is really important. You guys should have a basic understanding of how your immune system works because it helps to prevent your body from getting sick and just being more aware of what's happening when your body is sick. So, what is the immune system? The immune system is your body's body system that pretty much just protects against things like viruses, bacteria, and fungi. Now, please understand our bodies are not the most efficient at fighting off fungi, so just keep that in mind. It is going to be made up of different types of cells and tissues and organs that are pretty much working together to constantly fight off any kind of exposure that can come in from all types of different ways, whether a cut or through like aerosols or through the air. It's going to help us to fight things off, and then when we get sick, to help us recover by causing immune responses to fight off the bad things. So, your body has a basic first line of defense, and that's primarily going to be like our skin. Our skin is protecting all those vital organs, making it so that like if someone sneezes on you, it doesn't just absorb into your lungs, right? Additionally, you have orifices where things can enter in, and your body has things to help protect that. So what I mean by that is your nose and your mouth. You have mucus that forms inside your nose and in your mouth, and that's going to help to trap germs. Additionally, in your stomach acid, from there, if like germs get in, it goes into your stomach, and that stomach acid really helps to kill any kind of like nasty bacteria that we might swallow. Now, that being said, right, things can get past it. One trick, if you're like Miss Hudson, you have horrible allergies or it's like flu season, a lot of times what you want to do is like before bed, you want to clean out that mucus in your nose. That means just like taking water and kind of like getting it in there and then blowing it back out. And what that's going to help to do is try to loosen some like the bacteria and viruses and pollens that get caught in there. Because fun fact, when we start to fall asleep, it actually helps to loosen the things that are trapped in like the mucosal hairs inside our nose. And so that being said, we want to try to loosen and get that stuff out, because when our breathing changes and we sleep, that stuff can get lodged in the back of your throat, which is why sometimes you'll be fine one day and you'll wake up the next day and you're like, oh no, it's my allergies or I'm getting sick. Because that nasty stuff got loosened up. Okay, so that's pretty much your body's first line of defense and some fun facts for you. Now, your second line of defense is going to be the body's white blood cells. Okay, so if germs get inside, your body wants to be able to fight those back. It's not just like, oh, it got in, guess I'm dying now. That would be horrible. And so instead, your body's going to have these white blood cells that come and attack them. So white blood cells quite literally like wander around your body looking for anything that got in. And constantly you have some small things getting in just because, dust and things like that. And your body's helping to take care of that. But every once in a while, it gets bad things in. And so with that being said, you have specialized white blood cells that quite literally eat the bad germs, and others are going to create antibodies so that your body recognizes the bad germs and kills them. And when I say they eat them, I mean they quite literally like come over, break them apart, and eat them. It's called phagocytosis. So what are immune cells? Immune cells are going to be specialized white blood cells. You have monocytes, eosinophils, basophils, lymphocytes, and neutrophils. And they're going to travel throughout the body, throughout the bloodstream usually, and they're going to be attacking those germs. They're actually going to have specialized functions so that they remembered certain germs. That way they're better able to recognize and fight it off if you're exposed to something again. Now, please keep in mind, viruses mutate, which is why you can get the flu every year. As much as your body recognizes one thing, if it mutates enough, it doesn't recognize that thing. Okay, so that being said, that's why we have things like vaccines to help us recognize things that our body may not already naturally recognize because it mutated too fast. So, phagocytes are the germ eaters, and they're going to be bigger, and as a result, they're pretty much going to find the nasty stuff. They're going to chomp on it and break it down, and then they release it. And usually it's going to then be expelled through your lymphatic system, filtering the blood. They're going to patrol the body, and an example of them is going to be a macrophage, and they're going to eat those germs. They also send signals to the other immune system cells, so they pretty much sometimes will leave pieces behind so that the immune system cells will go, oh, what is this? Oh, now I know what this is. Let's produce antibodies to protect us in case we see this again. Neutrophils are going to be your first responders. So kind of like think of them as your EMTs. They're going to be the first blood cells to fight off an infection. So if Miss Hudson cuts her hand, they're going to come and rush to the site of the infection and attack any of the bacteria that try to get in. They are short-lived, so they really don't last a very long time, but they're going to work really fast. So they respond really fast. They come to the site of infection, and they really try to stop it from spreading. After our neutrophils, we also have our lymphocytes, and those are kind of like the smart, kind of like think brain cells. And they're going to be specialized cells that are going to be remembering. So that's kind of what I talked about, how you have those special remembering cells. There are two types. You have B cells and you have T cells. And they're going to create that long-term immunity that helps you to remember things after like an infection or based upon like vaccines. I'm going to talk about vaccines towards the very end, so if you have questions on that part, just wait until we get to the end. Now, B cells are for the kind of like think of it as like antibody factory. They're going to be making the antibodies, and they're going to be like targeting those germ cells. So think of it as like it's creating these missiles to be able to attack. And the antibodies are ultimately going to attach to those germ cells. And when they attach, they're pretty much remembering the past infections that have happened to go, oh, you're this thing I remember, I'm going to attack and kill you. And so it pretty much hangs out on it, attacking and killing it so it doesn't spread. Because we don't want things like viruses and bacteria to take over our healthy cells. Next, we have our T cell attackers, and they're going to attack infected cells. So every once in a while you have every once in a while, it happens constantly, unfortunately. You have these cells that get something that comes inside, and pretty much it's attached to your cell. And these T cells go, I recognize a foreign invader, and they're going to kind of attach, and they're going to send signals to your other immune cells, and they're going to go, hey, right here, this one's pretending to be one of us, but it's infected, so that your immune system comes and eats it and kills it. So as much as like we want to keep our healthy cells alive, if it's infected, we want to kill that thing off so it doesn't keep spreading. When it keeps spreading, that's when you have a more severe problem. Next, you have your NK or natural killer cells. Think of them as the special forces, and they're going to be the ones who are hunting down all that nasty stuff. So they kill our infected or our cancerous cells. Cancerous cells are also kind of a form of infection where pretty much a mutation occurred within the cell's coding. When that mutation occurs, that cell is now infected. In fact, cancerous cells have a higher mitotic rate, meaning remember, mitosis is when our cells replicate. If that rate is higher, it's going to lead to more replication of those cells faster. That's why cancer grows so fast, is because these cells can replicate faster. And so as a result, you're going to have these natural killer cells that come around and like attack and kill the bad thing. Sometimes things get past them, or sometimes something replicates too fast for our natural killer cells to get them. You constantly have some small like bad cancerous cells that get past. Usually your natural killer cells detect them, they catch them, they kill them. Every once in a while, they don't. And so that's when you get things like cancer forming. If you want to talk about that more, I'm more than happy to talk about that more. I know it can be a really difficult conversation. My dad has had 4 different types of cancer, so I get it. And my dad doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink. My dad's really healthy. And so I get it. If you want to talk about those kinds of things, I totally get it. He's had skin, he's had lung, he's had lymphatic and thyroid cancer. So I get it. Now, please keep in mind with our natural killer cells, they don't need instructions. They get it. They just have this ability to tell what's wrong. Sometimes they're triggered by that T and B cell, and they're going to help to fight and protect the body from really dangerous diseases. Next, we have our dendritic cells, or our messenger cells. Now, these dendritic cells are kind of collecting evidence of those germs, and they're going to tell the immune system what to do. So kind of like our dendrites in our nervous system. I don't think we've talked about those just yet, but they're going to send those signals to help the immune system be able to respond more effectively. They're kind of like detectives hunting throughout the immune system so we can get that signal and be able to fight things more efficiently. Antibodies. Antibodies are so cool. They're special proteins that help to attack germs. Once your body makes an antibody for a germ, it's going to then remember how to fight that same germ. So if your sibling gets sucked, let's do a different example. If you get sick with something and you give that to your sibling and maybe it mutates with your sibling, sometimes it's close enough that your body's going to go like, oh yeah, I know what this is, and it's better able to fight it. And so weirdly enough, the more you're exposed to when you're younger, usually the more efficiently your body system starts to develop. Because when you're younger and you're exposed to things, your body can remember those bad things for up to 10 years. Now, with that being said, if your body remembers something for 10 years, on the 11th year, if it's exposed to that thing again, usually it's not going to remember. But usually you're not exposed to something brand new. Usually it's something has mutated that you've seen before and it goes, oh, I recognize this piece. I'm going to take care of this piece and try to figure out how to fight this thing. And so as a result, your body's able to like grow and learn to recognize those mutations pretty much. And this is usually why you're not going to get like the same disease twice. Things like chicken pox, they're not going to be mutating as fast, and so your body is able to recognize it. Now, there are crazy situations where we're really concerned about things like measles, where if it mutates enough and our vaccines aren't effective and our bodies can't recognize it, then we're going to have a whole nother issue with like we've had previously in the past with huge measles outbreaks. Well, it's not as bad for someone like me or you guys. For someone who's immunocompromised, aka very young or very old, it is life-threatening. Okay. Now, we have actually 5 different types of antibodies, which is just wild. And these antibodies do different things. You have IgA, which is going to be like in your mucus and saliva and helping to recognize and kill off anything that gets in through there. You have IgD, which helps to like stimulate even more responses. You have IgE, which is going to bind to certain types of cells, and they actually help with like allergies. So if you're like Miss Hudson, who has really bad allergies, we like our IgE. They help with kind of like histamine responses. IgG is going to be like this wild one that kind of crosses through placenta, weirdly enough. So if you have babies, the baby can stay healthy. And then you have IgM, which is going to be like mainly your immune system's memory. Please keep in mind, you actually have this specialized part of immune cells that actually works through, weirdly enough, breast milk. I know it's going to sound really weird, but babies, when they're first born, they actually, their body doesn't really have a solid immune system. And the way they get that is through some of those immune cells passing through the placenta. Pretty much the mom gives some of her antibodies to a baby when they're growing inside her. And then when a baby is born, it's like, okay, you have a couple of these cells. It's usually not quite enough. And so what happens for these moms is that when a mom is pregnant and she is producing the milk, quite literally, her body, when somebody like breathes on her and is sick with something, her body goes, oh no, I know what this is. And it starts building more of those antibodies. And it's actually going to give some of those antibodies to a baby through the milk, which is why a lot of times people are like, oh, you should breastfeed, right? And the reason for that is it helps to build up the child's immune system, because the baby is pretty much getting some of mom's immune cells based on what she's exposed to, so that it's able to recognize those things in the future. And that's why like babies, when someone like gets around them and is sick, they're usually able to fight it off, is because their body has seen it before through their mom. Isn't that so cool? It's wild. Science is awesome. Now, our immune system directly connects into our lymphatic system. And our lymphatic system helps to transport our white blood cells, as well as kind of like filter out anything in our blood. So it's going to include things like our lymph nodes. If you've ever like been like people are like, oh, are you sick? You can feel it in your neck. You have lymph nodes, a lot of them in your neck. A lot of them are kind of going to be in this type of area here. And when you're sick, a lot of times they're kind of doing more filtration, or they can be a little bit inflamed. And so you'll feel some swelling in those areas. If you have swelling in those areas, usually that means your body is fighting off an infection. Now, an infection doesn't necessarily mean that a virus came. It could be a disease. It could be like an itchy response. Fun fact, histamines can cause this too. So please, please, please take care of your body. If you're getting cues that like your lymphatic system is really swollen, maybe take a break. Stay home. Rest. Vaccines, how can they help? So vaccines are kind of weird in that vaccines are usually going to be kind of like broken up pieces of a virus or a simple kind of like genetic code of our DNA kind of thing of that virus. And they're going to take that weakened, dead, or that piece of that germ, and they're pretty much injecting it into the body. Now, this is not an active virus, meaning that your body doesn't go like, I'm gonna die, and all of a sudden you have COVID or the flu. Instead, it's just a piece, and it pretty much makes it so that your body goes, oh, here's this piece of this thing. Now I know what this is. So if someone comes up to you and they cough on you and try to give you this thing, your body then recognizes it and is more effective at fighting it. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have more questions, I can tell you more. So, how do you keep your immune system strong? So one thing you have to keep in mind is like when you get a virus or a disease, your body has to be able to fight it off. So that means keeping your immune system healthy. So the ultimate goal to fight off the bad things is to have a healthy immune system. That means eating healthy foods. Eat your fruits and vegetables, guys. I can only say this so much. There was a study that was done based on the United States. 95% of people do not eat enough vegetables, and 90% of people do not eat enough fruit. That being said, we're not getting a lot of our vitamins that our body needs to have healthy responses. Additionally, sleep is super important. During your sleep, your body recharges and pretty much like resets your immune system. If you are not sleeping enough, your body isn't getting that full reset and it stays in a fight or flight mode, meaning that it's not going to efficiently fight off any of the nasty stuff you come into contact with. Additionally, exercise. Exercise keeps your organs healthy. Exercise makes it so that your heart gets enough oxygen. As a result, if you are not exercising regularly, a lot of times your organs themselves are not going to be functioning as efficiently. If your cells aren't getting enough oxygen or enough nutrients, then they're not going to effectively fight off germs. Lastly, wash your hands. Oh my goodness, guys, please wash your hands. Washing your hands is so important. You get so much nastiness on there. Additionally, don't just get them wet. Half of washing your hands is actually the friction. Just doing this takes off so much bacteria. If you want to hear a nasty experience that Miss Hudson had, when Miss Hudson was in college, I had a microbiology class and we did testing to see bacterial growths. We took a swab from a mouth, from a phone, from a toilet seat, and from a handrail. Fun fact, mouth I thought would have a lot of bacteria. It did, but not that much. From there, the phone, lots and lots of bacteria. People bring these things with them to the bathroom. Please sanitize your phones. It's nasty. The toilet seat, weirdly enough, was very clean. The reason for it is people kind of associate it with it being nasty, and as a result, you're going to clean it more. Additionally, bodies being on a toilet seat causes friction, and friction naturally kills off that bacteria. The stair rail was never cleaned, and as a result, it had so much bacteria on it. It was really yucky. So please be conscientious of what you touch. Wash your hands and use friction and soap to get that stuff sloughed off. So what happens though when the immune system fails? As much as if we eat super healthy and drink water, we can be exposed to things that are, and even wash our hands, we can be exposed to things that just like our body can't fight off as well. So what happens is your immune system gets weak. Usually people, a lot of times it could be like maybe you don't get enough sleep. Maybe it's just a virus that your body does not recognize. And as a result, it's going to have a hard time fighting it off. Now, additionally, there are some diseases like HIV that are actually going to attack the immune system and weaken the immune system itself. When this happens, pretty much the body can't respond as efficiently. Autoimmune diseases can happen, and that's going to quite literally attack your immune system cells. So that means that it's attacking the immune system that's trying to help you. Okay, so your immune system can fail. It can be weakened. Now, when you are getting sick with things like a fever, that does not necessarily mean, oh, my immune system is broken. In fact, your immune system will actually, a lot of times when it finds a severe infection, it will heat itself up. And the reason they do that is to kill these cells that are infected. And that's actually gonna, when you heat your body up, it helps to slowly unravel some of that DNA so that the cell dies. Now, a fever that lasts long term for a long period of time, that can kill some of your good cells. So fevers for too long are not bad, but fevers themselves aren't necessarily bad because your body is trying to fight off that bad thing inside of your body. I hope that kind of makes sense for you guys. But please keep in mind, as much as we get like sore throats, a lot of times it's your virus attacking you, but sometimes it's also your body responding with an overproduction of mucus to try to help kill off the bad thing. Your body really does try to take care of you. Please help your body take care of itself too. Some cool facts about the immune system. Your body makes millions of white blood cells every day. So your body is constantly building up this immune response to help you fight off the bad things. Additionally, a fever is a way for your body to fight off germs, right? Fevers are not necessarily bad. And please keep in mind, a fever actually has to be above a certain temperature. It has to be above 100 degrees 0.4 to be considered a fever. If you're like at like 99 and you're hanging out slightly elevated, it's actually not medically considered a fever until you get above or right at that 100.4. Lastly, sneezing and coughing is helping to remove the nasty germs from your body. So just if you need to sneeze, you should really help your body sneeze. That does not mean you just go achoo across the room or sneeze into your hand. There's a really cool Mythbusters video that shows the distance that sneezes can travel. They can travel up to 12 feet. Yeah, 12 feet. So a sneeze can go across my classroom. That being said, when you need to sneeze, you should always into the elbow, really get your face into your elbow and down. Because if you're going down, it means it's going down onto the ground, not into the faces of the people around you. If you need to sneeze and cough, please be polite. Please, please, please go into your elbow and down. If you end up sneezing or coughing into your hand, wash your hands. Take care of the people around you. Infections spread really easily in a classroom. It's a small and confined space. The more students there are in a classroom, the more likely infections are to spread. So please try to keep your peers and yourself healthy by washing your hands and taking care of your immune system, especially during flu seasons. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Bye.